Hello, all, and welcome back to Sigil Spotlight. My name, of course, is Mr. Harlan Guthrie, and I'm here with the amazing Ellen Abolt. How are you doing today, Ellen?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. It feels like a weekend, but it's Friday. But I guess Friday is technically part of the week, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, you work till 5 or whatever, in a 9 to 5 on Friday, so technically it's a work day. But I feel like everyone cuts loose on a Friday night. Although I wouldn't want to go to a Friday night wedding.
No, that would suck. That would
Sunday though. Would you prefer a Friday night wedding or a Sunday night wedding?
I think it depends on where it is. Like if I had to like really travel and like it was people that I was expecting to like stay the whole time rather than like, great, bye Aunt Cindy, I'm leaving early, like for something like that I'd rather do Sunday. But if I'm planning on like hanging out and partying the whole night, I'd rather do Friday.
Right? Because Friday night, that's like the start of the weekend. I feel like, maybe people would show up late, but man, they're going to go late into the night. So it's going to be a party. And really, what is a wedding but an awesome party? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sigil Spotlight 2. We're so excited to be here. We have not too much news, but the news we do have is big, important news, if you are unaware, if your head has been under a rock. But before we get to the Sigil stuff, we have Alan Barr on the show with us today, which I love saying because it makes it sound like, supremely talented Gallant Knight Games Alan Barr himself. He's going to talk to us about the setting and just shoot the shit and hang out and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be fun. We're also going to showcase a little bit of art that we're doing for the actual play, and then we're going to do a little bit of a dungeon puzzle for you and Alan, which we'll see how it goes. It's an easy one this week.
Hopefully.
I don't know. It's tough to gauge that stuff, but anyway, moving on to news. So what's the big news, Ellen? What's the
big news is the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Supers 5e.
Supers 5e, S5e. It is going strong. What are we at?
Let's see. Let me get the live number. We are at 26,575.
Holy.
Yeah, we are fully funded, everybody.
Yeah. Fully funded and then some. That's really exciting because not just because of obviously, the people who put the work into this getting to see it in the hands of the masses. Air quotes, but also the stretch goals. I mean, this is all about people that are still supporting are getting to see the results of what the money is going towards. And I mean, some of the most exciting stuff coming up. Obviously, J.V. Jones short story, a supremely talented fantasy author. Sound Booth Theater, which we've talked about, a fantastic little company that does readings, and they've actually done Kevin Andrew Murphy.
I wouldn't know.
So I always forget because the writer of Seven is Kevin something Andrew, and I always get anyway. The author there is doing. They did one of his books, and now they're doing a whole series of them. We have a John Wick adventure, who also is a supremely talented author. Custom supervillain character folios. Look at all this stuff. We're also getting a deep dive from Sound Booth Theater, which is like their audio drama version. So sound effects, music, so you're going to get to really get carried away by some of these short stories. I know you love that, Ellen. It's your thing, right?
Who's that? There's an author up there. Is that Harlan Guthrie? Who's that guy?
No, I get to do some supervillains, which is really exciting. But that actually is going to branch well into the actual play that we have going on right now, which we'll be talking about. Kevin Andrew Murphy. That's right. And we are 2 backers away from unlocking the 350, which I was just getting to here, which is again 6 pre-generated hero character folio PDFs. So, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, as we were talking about. There's a lot that we are planning on right now. We're trying to figure out ways to involve more creative talent in this project as it is growing. So much more. The outpouring has been phenomenal.
Yeah. There's been a lot of activity happening behind the scenes. It's been really, really cool to see.
Yeah, but people sharing it too and getting excited about the project and having Eugene, the author, on to other programs to get to talk about it. And, to that extent, the actual play that we're doing. So Monday night, we started our actual play, S5E, GM'd by myself and my partner, Joe, Erica, and Gary, and Ahmed. Unfortunately, couldn't join us, but he'll be joining us this Monday. What a blast to run the system, too. Working in puzzles and you obviously saw the maps that we're going to showcase in a minute that Alita Saxon has been working on for the stream, which will be available in some form or another.
Yeah, we're still nailing that down.
Still figuring out exactly whether it will be sort of Patreon or Kickstarter focused. Again, because as the elements are being created, as we're getting to present them to you all, we're finding the feedback, of where people want to see this and how they want to access it being varying in all different ways, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's really cool to see, everyone's, they want to see it. They want to engage with it. And it's just a matter of figuring out what's the best platform to get it to everybody.
So this is some of the artwork that we featured in the actual play on Monday night, which again, if you're interested in how the system runs more than anything, then you should definitely check out the Monday night stream. It's Monday night on this channel, the Twitch, the YouTube, as well as Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern is when it starts. It's a 2-hour stream that we will be running for at least 10 weeks to sort of get a really good feel for the system and let you all see how it plays. But this team is also role-playing it out, showing how you can not just have the mechanics of S5E, but also get to experience being a superhero, which this game really does encompass. It's so much more. It's so much kinder to using powers and abilities and countering off each other. In Monday night's game, we had 2 kinetic superheroes facing off, both trying to punch each other to death, essentially.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing a safe superhero game, in which case you're punching to an unconscious.
Yeah,
kind of what we were going for. I mean, it's so tough because you don't kill if you're a superhero. Just says, very fun and nice to see the game in play. Yeah, and it was fun to do. And again, we're so excited to continue building on that and show you how you can tell those stories. Are you going to be running something after all of this is done, Ellen, with S5E, or are you going to want to get in on a game as a player?
I'm normally more of a player, but I don't have a 5e group exactly lined up that I'm normally a part of, so we'll have to see.
Yet. On the Discord, the Sigil Discord, which you should all be joining, and if you haven't, please make sure you check it out. The link is in the description. There's many places that you can not just talk about this, but talk about people to get in on a game,
Yeah.
And get to join and maybe talk about what kind of characters you want to play. I like hearing about people's games. I really love. I mean, there's such a passion for people's characters. You feel the story. So hearing people get to share, oh man, my level 5 kinetic is like a da-da-da-da when it comes out, obviously. But in general, I really. And what more fun, is there going to be than sharing your superhero backstory? That's what superheroes are about.
It's been super fun listening to your players and stuff.
Super fun.
Yeah. Listening to your players talk about their characters and the backstories and stuff like that. There's some really cool stuff there, and it's always fun to see what people come up with.
So yeah, again, and this is a fantastic map that Alita has done. Again, featured prominently in Monday night stream, so make sure you check it out. But I just want to showcase a bit of this wonderful art. She is, of course, part of the Sigil Entertainment Group. I don't want to give too much away on the map because we are kind of working through it. So if any of the players are watching this, don't. Although it's not going to change that much. I think if you know. Oh, look at this. Oh,
there we go. That'd be fun.
I think everyone is excited for that prospect.
For those of you who don't know, Ace is the head honcho in charge of Sigil. So getting to run a game with him is pretty special. He's a busy man.
Very busy, very talented, much like the guest that we're having up in just a few seconds. This actual play that is on Monday is set in a fictional universe that shares its sort of rubs his shoulders alongside a city setting that Alan is going to talk about in a few seconds. But it is not that. So if you are watching the actual play, don't worry about anything being spoiled or for Alan, nothing's being spoiled because this is a little bit apart. Although some of the themes are pretty similar. And with that, let's welcome on Alan Barr. Alan. Thank you so much for joining us. How you doing today, man?
I'm great. It's Friday, so
Weekend, not weekend.
yeah, when you're self-employed and work at home is all the same.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess every day is a weekend.
Yeah, not every day is a work day.
That's fair. But yeah, so thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, our pleasure. Obviously, we've been learning lots about you, which is really exciting. The games that you've done and the systems that you sort of incorporate into the tiny, the tiny versions of what you. I noticed that you also have a tiny supers. So you have.
Yeah, it's award-winning and best-selling even. So I'm an award-winning superhero writer. Woo! It was the #1 selling superhero RPG on Drive-Thru RPG in 2019, actually. So
that's fantastic.
Wow! So this is not your first time in the superhero genre.
Not my first rodeo. No, I actually write comics on the side gig, and used to work in a comic store and reviewed comics and all that good stuff. So
you like comics at least?
I'm a fan, you could say that. Yeah.
I also noticed that you are streaming currently too. What night do you guys stream on?
We stream on Thursday nights on our Gallant Night Games, twitch.tv/Gallant Night Games. We're wrapping up. Next week is our last session of our Yukon Dark Cthulhu campaign using Tiny Cthulhu set in the Gold Rush, Alaska.
Love me some Cthulhu. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a ride.
You're just playing that. You're not the GM, are you?
I am. For the first time, I'm playing a game I wrote, which is totally different and it's a little weird. Maudie Murdoch is our GM. She is fantastic. She's an RPG writer who's worked for Fantasy Flight on L5R, AEG on L5R. She worked for Gallant Night Games. She's done work for Green Ronin on The Expanse, all kinds of stuff. And she's a professional GM on the side, so she actually comes on and runs for us.
Nice.
And she's a rock star, and it's been a super great, super creepy campaign. So it's everything you want out of a Cthulhu.
Well, if it's Cthulhu,
it should be creepy, yeah.
Although I'm sure there's a comedy Cthulhu thing out there. I don't know how
that would be more my speed.
Comedy Cthulhu. I mean, horror comedy, that's a love child right there. Don't get me wrong. Way back.
But like with the right players, every game's a comedy. Or the wrong players, I guess you could say, depending on the genre.
I mean, you got to slot in those, those jokes kind of as you're working through. You're so right. And I think honestly, I think horror comedy works so well because they are sort of at the forefront of your emotional spectrum, like whether or not there are different wheelhouses, but whether you're scared or you're laughing, you're very engaged with the content. It's very in control of your emotions at the time. So I do think there's a nice little switch there.
Yeah, it's not really something you can like pull back from emotionally. You really do kind of have to engage with it.
Yeah,
exactly. Speaking of engaging, the setting, Midnight City.
Yes.
Like hopefully it's engaging. That's the goal.
Oh, of course it will be. I mean, we've seen, little tidbits here and there leaking through ideas and whatnot.
Yeah.
Actually, look at that. She's working on a secret project for us too. Your GM there. So there you go.
I actually know what the secret project is.
Oh.
We'll have to find out. That will be on a future episode.
We'll get there eventually.
But yeah, tell us a little bit, whatever you feel like about Midnight City.
Yeah, awesome. So Midnight City is a setting, obviously, designed to evoke. It's actually a little different for me. So I, as a superhero fan, I tend to gravitate towards the sort of 4-color Golden Age, Silver Age superhero stuff. I like the optimism. I like the heroes are heroes, rah rah rah. You get the hat kind of gives away my lean. So this was a little different. I grew up a big fan of the original Hellblazer from Vertigo.
Oh, awesome.
With John Constantine, and one of my favorite runs when I was a kid was the No Man's Land run in the Batman comics. And so Midnight City is kind of a melding conglomeration of those with a bit of kind of a hope punk aesthetic to it. The city has been cut off from the rest of the world, partially by villains, partially by society just giving up on Midnight City. And so the heroes are there to restore a semblance of hope to the people who couldn't get out before everything went down. So, it's kind of take the idea of the no man's land, right? Where people can't get in the city. The government said, yeah, you're out. We're not, no aid, nothing. We're just cutting you off. We're going to barricade you in. We don't want to get involved.
Yeah,
the villains are running the show. So.
Playground to be in.
Yeah.
You're not, and we mentioned this last week, or last episode, I should say, which I'm going to continue doing forever. Just forget. But
Yeah, no, me too.
you set yourself in a great little area where you can have a little bit more, because when you are doing more or less a modern setting, it's difficult because you don't want to bring in all the outside shit from the real world. You don't have to worry about too much of that. So having that sort of no man's land concept is a really clever way for you as the GM and potential storyteller, you the watcher, to be able to play with those forces.
I occasionally have a good idea that shows up in my work, so it's nice.
Yeah, everyone's got to have one, right? And then
you don't see the 90% bad ideas, but they're there. And part of it was separating it, and part of it is I ran a lot of superhero games. I played a lot of superhero games. I've written a few superhero games and on a few. Award-winning, best-selling. Tiny Supers, check it out. For me, of all the genres you can play in an RPG, the superhero genre is the most unfocused, because comics cover such a wide range of genres in and of themselves. There are all the genres, plus you add a layer of superheroes, right? You got fantasy superheroes, you got post-apocalyptic, you've got sci-fi, you've got I can go, let's play Traveler, and everybody kind of knows what they're getting. If I go, let's play Mutants and Masterminds, one guy's over here playing the Defenders from Netflix here, playing Guardians of the Galaxy, one guy's over here going, I want to do a Super Spy Black Widow, right?
Yeah.
So that's not compatible, right? Those things don't exist together.
Yeah.
And so the idea of Midnight City is by saying this is what this little location is. You come in knowing what you're playing. You come in with the genre expectations. Everybody knows, okay, it's going to be kind of street level. All right, there's going to be magic, right? There's probably not going there's going to be room for the Superman-esque Paragon, but they're going to stand out because of the inherent, built-in tropes and assumptions of what we're going to present.
Yeah.
And I think that makes the superhero campaign a lot stronger. If everybody's on the same page, you're gonna have a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the setting book is sort of in a way that tone conversation that a good GM has before every game. It's kind of like, hey guys, and really that's no different than 5th edition, Dungeons and Dragons. If you're gonna play Out of the Abyss, which is an entire campaign that takes place below the surface of Faerun, in the Underground, you have to talk to your players about that, to be like, hey, pick a character with dark vision, or you have to sort of have an idea when you're going into the game. And I think a lot of people discount that, or they're like, whoa, I want to be able to have a campaign setting that does everything. But I think that's what the core rule book is for. That's your guide to do it. And B, no, man, like the idea of a good campaign book is to focus that in, is to, Ghost of Saltmarsh it's a pirate little adventure, or the Abyss, or, to have a globe-trotting adventure in a superhero campaign, it just becomes so,
there's too much room.
Well, one of the concepts I'm a big fan of, which I'm hoping to sort of slide into this book a little bit, maybe we'll see what the final product says. But in our first Tiny Supers expansion, which is going to be released in a couple weeks, we present something I call the cinematic universe model of campaign play. And so what you do is everybody makes their hero, and then you run a session focus on that hero only, with everybody playing supporting characters, and then you roll it up into a big team up, and then you play through it, right? What you can do with that is it lets you play those different genres in one universe, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The idea I'm going to present here is, because this is functionally, I'm writing a superhero Western marches game inside a city, right? Clearing the city block by block.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I'm going to be presenting is, okay, if you are playing in Old Town, this is the theme. The theme is there's going to be drug lords. There's going to be kind of that really rundown economic element here.
Yeah.
If you're gonna play in the port district, you're dealing with smugglers. Pirates. It's probably going to be more occult, because people are going to be trying to sneak in all these occult relics or sneak out all these occult relics.
Yeah.
If you're and so I'm going to try to create this city where the districts have overarching themes that you can lean on, but they aren't going to be binding. If you want to do drugs in Port District, you can do that. but they're guideposts. And as a designer, I'm less interested in telling you what you need to do, and I'm more interested in saying, here's some like guide rails. You just kind of go nuts inside them, and if you want to bounce out, whatever, that's on you.
Yeah, well, it becomes difficult, especially within a superhero campaign, to try to narrow that focus too much, because the players are going to have a huge statement on this too. I might be from Old City, or I might be from the Old Town within there, where I grew up amongst those struggles and whatnot.
Exactly. Or they could be from out of town and be unaware of all of that, right? And so they're playing against that expectation.
Yeah, I'm always. I mean, as the GM, which I more often play, although not as of late, but
what's that like?
That's sort of the goal of the GM, to get to share that information. So there is something fun. You don't want to take too much away from that job. I'm the opposite. I don't want to have to explain anything. So if you're like, I want to be from Old Town, I'm like, here's the 10 pages, read them, know everything in there. You tell everybody. And I'm a big fan of, like, if you say this is how Old Town is in our game, then you're the decider. You know Old Town. So if you're like, oh, and you want to change some details on the fly, you're the guy from Old Town.
Yeah, congratulations, you're the expert now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think my reaction is more from playing with characters, and it's more in say D&D, where they play characters that know it all. Sure. And as the GM, they're pulling out information that's in like a wiki that's accurate. But then it's actually more work for the GM to be like, okay, well, hold on, let me find out who that guy is before I let you know what I mean. So it becomes a bit difficult. But you're very right, especially in a new setting or a new campaign, giving people the tools to create something. Especially if it's if it's non-important to the story. God, I love that. The ability for people to just make up stuff and add it to the world, so that you're building it together. 100%, totally on board. Alan, are you a player like that? Do you?
Oh yeah, no. I went and I found a whole system that plays like that to go play in.
Which system?
13th Age.
Okay, yeah.
The whole thing,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing is about being able to just announce, like, oh yeah, this is a thing, totally. Yeah, and I know about it because I have this relationship.
I am the one X that does Y, and I'm the only one. So that's
the one unique thing. Yeah.
Although I'm personally speaking, from a GM standpoint, I'm 100% on that. From a player standpoint, I'm probably the opposite, and I'm probably a rarity. I really prefer being taken on a bit of a story. Like, I've played a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse systems, and I'm not the biggest fan of them, because a lot of it, the onus falls back on the player to populate the world. But to me, and maybe it's more growing up on like point and click adventure games, one of my favorite things is being taken along a little bit of a crafted horror, like a Call of Cthulhu is more my vibe, because you're solving a mystery and putting pieces together in a really structured way, so that at the end you have that aha moment of like, that's what the bread knife was for.
Yeah. It's interesting how different play styles take the same thing and run differently, right?
And that again goes back to the tone conversation, getting that book and saying, here's what we're thinking on, and then having the second conversation saying, I want to run this book, sort of verbatim and really populate this world, or we're going to use this more as a guide because I love the themes of this book and I want to focus on that. And I think it's so funny because there's a great number of people that have turned to role-playing games from board games, myself being that as well, and forget that this really is a borderless world in the truest sense, where of course take the things from the book that you like, but then throw out the stuff you don't like. Like, there's no need to follow it.
So my question would be, what sort of comics do you both dig? And what would be the things, like, if somebody said we're going to play superheroes, what would you come in with, like, your baseline expectation, right? Like, what are you coming in for?
I actually did not grow up reading comics. I haven't read any superhero comics. So most of my superhero stuff is from early phase Marvel movies. I don't really like what they're doing in the later phases as much. But like the early, when they were doing all the origin stories and stuff, Captain America First Avenger is one of the ones that I come back to over and over again. Like, it's a war movie, but it's a superhero movie, so it doesn't get all like stuck in the mud the way some of the other like World War II movies do.
Very true. Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm probably the opposite. Ellen, you and I should never play in a game together. We'll play in many, but I would say my favorite in the Marvel universe is Ragnarok. Like that. Okay,
Ragnarok was a lot of fun.
Because obviously the New Zealand humor is very much my speed, but I like the flippant nature of sort of the globe trotting of my RPGs that I've run similarly. I'm a big fan of Numenera and the Strange, just because of their sort of zany. And I go hard on the Strange, where the Strange. I don't know if either of you played it, but it has more rules than I account for. And this is what I was saying about taking the parts you like and not. Like the Strange has a logic behind why it exists. It's kind of like, well, there's I throw it all that out. I'm just like, no. There's portals and you're jumping from world to world, and now you're here, and now you're here. Because to me, that's the fun of it. Like that to me is the exciting part, and that's almost what Ragnarok encompassed. And for me, if I was a player in a game, that would be my ideal. Some awesome way to be able to get through different. I mean, I don't want to spoil any current shows, aka Loki, but that's definitely a vibe that I'm digging. This
don't ruin that for me. I've only had time to get episode 1 because I was out of town. So like,
perfect. Only talking about episode 1. That's it.
No spoilers. Yeah, please.
Fine.
So there's Loki. No.
He's in the show, right?
Yeah, he does show up.
I'm not allowed to watch it without my wife, and like I left town for like 2 weeks, and so we're really behind.
That's totally fair, and that's nice to be able to. That's how we are. Well, it just works out. What about you? Is Midnight City your ideal setting, or what's your?
No, I'm definitely 4-color. I definitely lean towards kind of the classic Avengers. I'm not quite like Adam West Batman with all the puns and jokes.
So you're Joel Schumacher then? You're full out butt shot in. He's the guy who did Batman Forever and Batman. Yeah. Like it's like campy, but like dark campy. It's a really weird.
No, I actually don't go that dark. I'm more Christopher Reeve Superman.
Nice.
So
like if you give me something like First Avenger, even Winter Soldier is more my speed. Like I don't mind that kind of modern grittiness, but it needs to be kind of built on a foundation of optimistic heroism for me. So like Christopher Reeve Superman. I'm loving the show Superman and Lois right now, actually, for that reason. It's like the super like optimistic. Stargirl was great. So, I really dig those more heroes being heroes, right? Heroes gonna hero.
I think that's
our viewers actually wanted to ask when we were gathering questions, are you more a fan of Gotham or Metropolis?
Oh, Metropolis. I mean, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You're definitely Superman over Batman type person.
I am writing something that is 100% the opposite of what I normally enjoy, and that's a lot of fun. It's good to stretch, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can talk about how much you hate it. You're like, and then the stupid street is walking. No.
I just hate writing. The dedication is like, screw you, I'm done.
Yeah, it's finished.
I'm
not editing it.
Are you Superman or Batman? What's your?
Oh, Superman. Yeah.
And Ellen?
I have strong opinions about Batman that are not positive, so don't ask me that.
Oh, let's do it. Let's get into it. But I need to know Ellen first. Ellen, Superman, Batman?
I don't know either of them very well. I think I've seen one Batman movie. I haven't seen any Superman movies.
I mean, Superman, in my opinion, in the movies, has Kevin Costner. So that is a win, because I'm a big Kevin Costner fan. I don't know why. Don't ask me. But like I'm probably more Batman. But I will say this: Batman's not a superhero. He's no powers. He's pretty worthless. I think more than anything, I just enjoy the darker, not gritty, but I like the more. This is a flawed character. I really enjoy flawed characters, and I think the only thing that I'm against Superman for is he doesn't have that many flaws, other than like kryptonite. But
we want to get in there.
I have no dog in this. I'm not upset at all.
Oh no, the hat's going backwards. You said something wrong.
Actually,
so I super disagree that Superman has no flaws, and I think the failure to imagine that is a failure in storytelling. So some of the best superhero comics are about the repercussions of what happens to people around him. Right. So there's a comic where he's visiting this guy in a hospital who's been paralyzed because he got shot in the spine. And it turns out he got paralyzed because the bullet bounced off Superman and hit him. And Superman feels guilty. Right. And so the best Superman stories aren't about his powers. They're about his moral powers.
And the repercussions.
Right? And the repercussions of that morality.
Yeah.
Right. What does it take to maintain ethics in a world where Gotham exists?
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Like that's what Superman's about. Superman's not about laser vision and flying. Those are like the special effects that happen in the background. Right.
I guess to me, like the thing, and again, I fully admit this is probably my ignorance because I don't know that much of Superman. But to me, it always seemed like with Batman, and I don't know why I mean, binary important because they sort of are on the other side of the spectrum. But you know, I enjoy characters where I don't know what they're going to do at a given moment, and I've seen a lot of elements in Batman stories like, oh, okay, like what the heck, you know. But with Superman, I've always felt like you kind of know what he's going to do. I've never been surprised by a Superman decision,
right?
Except I will say, the Man of Steel, where he ends up killing the bad guy at the end, but everyone hated that, you know, and that was like I was kind of like, oh. And everyone was really upset by that. But to me, that was one thing that I was kind of like, that's neat about it, because it's interesting to see a character. But this goes back to the whole Luke trying to kill whatever. Everyone hates when characters have changes that are...
Well, and characters need to change and grow. And I think an RPG is a great medium to explore that, even more so than a film or a comic book, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, an RPG isn't set in stone in the same way. Like, I mean, you can go run the same one-shot over and over and over again with the same players, and it's going to be different.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, in S5e there are ways that you can play characters like this too. There is the alien origin, you know, and there's the alien coming to Earth, and there's the Earth going to alien. That's how we're saying it. They go to, but there's many different ways that you can do that. But yeah, let's continue arguing about this. No, I'm just kidding. Ellen, you got more questions?
Yeah. So people have asked what other things are in the setting book. Are there adventures? Are there factions that you're spinning out?
Yeah. So there are going to be both allied and enemy organizations and factions. There are going to be new rules. I don't want to promise what they will be until they're done and everybody's happy with them, but there will be new rules. I can't write a game and not add rules to it. Rule design is my favorite part, so it's going to happen. There will be new enemies. There will be new allies. There will hopefully be a really fun city to explore with some cool stuff at the end. And there will probably be some really subtle hidden Easter eggs of variety in there.
Ooh. So, we'll have to do like a bingo hunt or something for like finding the Easter eggs.
Hey, that'd be fun, eh? You like at the end of it, you know, if you can find all 10 Easter eggs in the setting book, you email.
Harlan will run a game for you or something.
Yeah. There we go.
I'm going to say there's 10, but I'm only going to put 9, just so I never have to run that game.
Like trinkets or something, like deep dives into comic books, really obscure quotes and stuff. Like,
yeah, some of them. So like in Tiny Supers, you know, I was talking about how death isn't the end. I made some references to deals with demons and failed clone sagas and things like that. So, you know, some subtle stuff like that. And it's not really subtle. It's actually super like on the nose. If you
now everyone's looking. They're all like, oh.
One of the games I wrote, there was an octopus that was an enemy, and all their math was divisible by 8. Nobody ever caught that.
Oh no!
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm so smart. Nobody got it. I'm like, oh.
I'm so smart.
Too smart.
No, that's fun though. I always love that kind of thing in writing where like, you know, every now and then you run across something and you just know like, oh, the author thought they were being really clever here. They're just cackling over this and nobody else gets it.
And usually we're the only ones cackling and we just look silly.
Well, hey, you know, that's okay.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, you got to keep yourself entertained while you know.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'm a big fan of the push and pull of what it means to be a superhero in stories. So you're going to have a lot of allied organizations that have expectations of the heroes, helping them. You know, for example, one of the organizations will be government funded, trying to regain the city, even though they've quote unquote, you know, pulled out and barricaded it. There's going to be like, not kind of like a CIA operation running in the city, right? And you can work with them, but they have their own expectations and goals.
Yeah.
And there will be a almost like a Red Cross style charity organization, but perhaps a bit more superhero-fied, right? Like if S.H.I.E.L.D. was really Red Cross.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, you can work with them, and they're going to have their different goals. So then there's going to be drug kingpins and business kingpins and smugglers and all these other organizations, mystical ones. And of course, the giant MacGuffin in the middle of the city. And how do you get rid of the spell that's, you know, dimming up?
You need it though. You need something for them to run around.
Yeah. Can't call it Midnight City if, you know,
day all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Mr. Burns with a giant, you know, shield blocking them.
Right.
That was the episode, wasn't it? Or was that the movie? I don't know. No, that sounds really exciting, and I love the idea of being able to go. I mean, you know, similarly to, not that I want to compare it to 5th edition, but I want the reason I do that is because I want people who love 5th edition, there are many of them, that recognize the ability to easily step into this game. Because I think one of the things that was intimidating for my players in the actual play was, you know, how much do they have to learn in terms of, you know, and it is nice, it's relaxing, because at the end of the day, learning a new system is wonderful, but sometimes you do just want to be able to sit down and not spend hours and hours reading through a rule book to figure out, you know, how many pieces you start with or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, no, there's an investment in every new system that you learn.
Yeah, but S5E sort of has a perfect, I don't want to say perfect, there's a really wonderful balance of both learning new mechanics and being able to transfer what you already know from your 5th edition experience.
Yeah, what I've seen is it works really well with the existing rules.
Yeah,
it just kind of builds on them.
And similarly to the setting, the idea of like the Harpers and the other one, the Zentarum or whatever, you know, D&D's Faerun, the Forgotten Realms, has these factions, and similarly knowing that, okay, you could sort of vie for other factions, but then with this second layer of, you know, well, who's the good guy, where's the, you know, premise, you know, it's nice to sort of focus that on the one city, so that you know who your ultimate goal is to sort of, or what your ultimate goal is to be. Are there sewers? Because I love a little bit of sewer fighting.
Yeah, of course.
No?
Oh, no, absolutely. There's gonna have to be
You can't have a superhero story without sewers. Like,
well,
at some point, they're going to be in the sewers.
You definitely can't do a port city that's been sealed off from the land without sewers. Because how are people getting in and out? Through the sewers, obviously.
Right. I love, and it was the Batman video game, I think, and I'm sure it's in the comics, but I noticed in the Batman, they have like the old city underneath the city. Yeah. Wonder City, I think it was called. That, I love that concept. This old like city of the future beneath Gotham. What a great idea. I love that. Please steal it and use it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but just when I'm thinking of city play and sewers, you know, how there's something so exciting about coming across things like that. Can you tell I like role-playing games when I get like physically excited about dumb ideas that I've stolen from other things?
Well, no, it's the whole, everyone likes a good archaeology story.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be Indiana Jones. Any other questions, Ellen? I know there
were. We also had a question about so when you're writing a setting, how does the system that you're writing it for affect that process? So if you're writing something, say, for like Tiny Supers versus 5e.
That's a really hard one. So in this case, that's
give you a stumper.
Yeah, that's a hard, well, because there's not an easy answer. Sometimes all right, so it sort of depends. So the systems and rules come with pre-built expectations for the most part. If I came to you and said, we are making a superhero game based on 5e, you're going to have expectations around what the mechanics mean, right? Advantage, disadvantage, D20, levels, etc. Right? There are these basic things you're going to know to see. And the setting needs to, in the terms of fiction, justify the existence of those things. Subtly, maybe. They don't have to be overt, but they have to be there, right? You have to... and a lot of that comes into rules design. So, like, if I wasn't having to design any NPCs or anything, it would be a lot less relevant because I don't have to worry about the rules. It's not the thing I'm super concerned about. But I need to make sure that the city, especially in a game like D&D, or in this case, S5E, has something for everybody from all those levels, right? So the setting design got to have something for somebody at level 1, got to have something for somebody at level 20. There has to be something for everybody throughout the spectrum here of the full assumed 5e experience. In a game like Tiny Supers, where I'm writing this setting, the Tiny D6 rule set is designed to be a toolkit where it is plug and play modifiable and minimalist. Like the whole rules are 40 pages.
Yeah.
And I can teach and run it to somebody in under 3 minutes. Pretty easy.
Really is tiny.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. All right. So the standard test is made with 2d6. If either die is a 5 or 6, you're successful. If you have advantage, you roll 3 dice. If you have disadvantage, you roll 1. All attacks do 1 or 2 damage. We're done. That's your game.
Oh, all right.
Technically, that was under 3 minutes. Although you could have said under 10 seconds, and I would have been more. No, I'm just kidding.
And your character will put on a 3x5 note card.
So you really, but you mentioned earlier that you really enjoy like mechanics, stuff like that. You try to incorporate mechanics into a setting book just because you can, you know?
Well, not just because I can. I think that when you are making a setting with the assumption towards a particular rule set, the fictional setting needs to have mechanical reinforcement. So in the example of Midnight City, I'm going to be presenting mechanics that reinforce the specific elements of Midnight City, which are going to be the darkness. Right? There's going to be a mechanic for measuring the darkness and how that impacts powers.
Cool.
There's going to be mechanics for these organizations because that's a big part of the fiction that the city is presenting. And so there need to be rules that reinforce player ability to interact with the essential elements that define the setting. Forgotten Realms, for an example, if you could not interact with the Red Wizards or the Harpers in Forgotten Realms, it would be a less interesting setting.
Of course.
Right? And if there aren't rules that reinforce the important point, it's like a video game. If this barrel is destructible and there's something inside it, it needs to let me know so I can break it and take the coins. I assume there's coins, maybe a potion. I don't know.
Both.
I don't play a lot of video games. Right?
You don't?
No, I find them tedious. I could just play a game with my friends and it's more fun for me. So
that's
so you know the rules need to point at the parts of the fiction that people are supposed to interact with. And the fiction needs to present the rules that people can interact with, as well as point out, hey, look at me, this is the part you're supposed to play with. Right? It's a feedback loop. So you got to start putting some loop into this feedback here. So
it makes a lot of sense. It's just interesting, you know, obviously from the writing standpoint of what's going on.
That was a really hard question, and I'm not even sure I answered it. So I'm super sorry.
No. I think you got there. You have to have an awareness of the rules because you want the rules to augment the story. You want the setting to augment the rules and take advantage of the systems that the rules put in place.
It's peanut butter and chocolate, right? They're both good on their own, but you want them to combine.
Yeah.
Then they're best.
That's
and
right.
Make your own rules for, you know, that extra little step. Put some sprinkles in there.
Yeah.
Hold on. Sprinkles and peanut butter and chocolate?
Well, you want it to be festive. I don't know.
I think it would be like put it in the freezer because like
there you go.
Frozen Reese's is way better.
That's true.
Is it? Depends on how frozen. I feel like there's got to be, because if it's like rock solid, you know, if you're like, if you
refrigerate
freeze and you're hurting your teeth on it, that might be unenjoyable. But I'm with you on like cold chocolate being better. You heard it here first, folks. Cold chocolate is better.
Dropping hot truths over here.
Dropping cold truths over here.
There you go. That's better.
Exciting though. What other questions were the community asking?
They were also curious. I mean, we've kind of touched on some of it about what your favorite stories are to tell. What kind of adventures do you like to run? The long journey, the infinite dungeon, the 3-act play. You know, what kind of structure and stuff do you do?
I structure in my personal games. I structure my RPGs like HBO limited series.
Oh wow!
Okay.
I write a punchy, quick paced first season, right? 8 to 10 sessions, and then I say we're done. And if we want to go back, we will do the second season. If not, no, we had a wrap up and we're done. I find that structure tends to fit with my adult life and my schedule a lot better. Like,
yeah, it's easier to commit to something for a season and not a year.
Everybody, we're in for 10 sessions. If we want to keep playing, we can do that. If we want to switch or end whatever, we can. But I kind of do that.
That's fair. I think that's my style as well too. I prefer a narrative focus so that people know sort of what they're going for. And I to me, my rule is always to try to wow them in the end. So the idea of having something that has a good punch in the finale is important, and structure is better for that one.
But if folks want to see how I run games after Yukon Dark is over, in about a month, I'll be running Tiny Supers on our Gallant Night streaming service. So you can tune in and watch me do that. I saw a question just popped up.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a crossover.
S5E, Tiny Supers, matchup.
We could do that.
Characters, I guess. We'll figure out.
We'll have to figure that out. All right. So Ted Webster asked me, so how powerful are you writing the city for? Low level or high levels work better? It will definitely be like any 5e product, I think it'll be weighted towards the bottom half of the level curve, right? Most, I've seen the Data Wizards presents where they say, most people never play past level 10. I think they said 8 or 10, something like that. So it'll definitely be weighted there. There will be a lot more to do at that level, but there will be high level stuff to handle and deal with. Though, like any superhero fiction, at a certain point, and D20 superhero games particularly tend to have this problem because of the way level advancement works. Your powers are going to be much better at level 20 than they were at level 1, even though they're the same powers, right? Yeah. My blast is going to do way more damage. It's going to be way more accurate. And so the obstacles that are presented have to scale. And when somebody can just teleport or whatever, the fact that the city is under barricades is a lot less relevant to the story, right? And so the obstacles presented definitely are going to be more of a hindrance to the lower level structure.
I feel like
there won't be stuff to do.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty typical though. Like, especially when you start getting those higher levels, like if you have a campaign that's hung together long enough for you to get to, level 15, level 18, then you have other motivations and other things that you want to dig into. Okay, great. You've dealt with the kingpin. Now you want to go after the drug suppliers or whatever. Yeah. And know.
And it's interesting because it's a hurdle that's unique to the D20 play style. A lot of games that don't use levels don't have that problem because they don't scale the same way, right?
Yeah.
And so, and this goes back to the designing and setting. That's the thing I have to keep in mind with the mechanics of S5E specifically is when I design the setting, is going to have this curve to it because of the way obstacles have to be presented. I can't just say, all right, everything is like street level drug kingpins go, because then Superman shows up and is like, this is fine. Everybody has guns.
And I also think there's a conversation there with the GM too. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like some players, they'll use what's on their sheet no matter what. And don't get me wrong, there's absolutely an argument for that to say I should be able to do everything my character can do. At the same time, there has to be a bit of a conversation where you understand why you're there and your motivations. The same way that when you start off a party, there's sort of an unspoken rule in good situations. Sometimes you have to speak it, where the players want to work together, And I'm sure we've all been in scenarios where one player is like, nah, I'm going to role play a character that's difficult, and you need to convince them every step of the way to keep helping. And that's just not helpful. So having those conversations, not just about the party, but about the world too, is part of the way that I think, no different than when you set in for the setting, to be like, hey, so this is the rule. Even if you have the ability to stop the sun before, let's talk about that because this is why we're here. And that would sort of undercut the entirety of.
Right.
But there are GMs too that really like that challenge. I've played in games that.
The other stream that I'm in, we just finished an arc. We accidentally split the party. And so we had the B team come in to help fill out the guy that ended up on his own. And the B team was completely constructed around everyone hating each other. It ended with, if we ever see each other again, my character that I was playing, my temp character, would absolutely punch one of the other ones in the face and refuse to work with him. But it was a temporary thing. Like, we knew, hey, we're doing this 2 to 3 sessions. Yeah, sure. So we can rag on each other and, have those kind of tensions. But it is hard to do. But we were all on the same page of that. We all sat down and said,
yeah. I play with people that are, it's like, I don't care about this, and I'm evil, and I really want the motivations. And then it's fun for a bit, and then it just becomes difficult.
Right.
Like, okay,
evil,
why are you here then?
Evil campaigns take a very different amount of work to run.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And especially with players. And I think with COVID, obviously, I think a lot of us have thankfully gotten to move online, and we've got to play with a lot of new people. And maybe those conversations have come up more often than they had before when you're playing with new people and stuff like that. But, conversations in any game or setting are always important. And as long as there's an understanding between the GM and the setting, and in Midnight City being a great example of a rule to the world that needs to be more or less respected by the players. And I think that's a fundamental understanding that no matter what the case is, no one's digging out of the abyss. Oh, well, I have Misty Step. I'm just going to Misty Step up and then dig a hole and then Misty Step up and dig a hole until I'm at the surface again. It's kind of like a cheap.
All right, fine. Bye. All right. Roll a new character that's actually going to stay down here with the rest of us. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Maybe someone else wants to play in general. Maybe we'll get a new player. That's okay.
Yeah. I definitely had to do that a few times. So thanks for coming. We'll see you.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. I think the nature of role playing, and doubly so for a superhero game, is about feeling powerful. You know, it's about getting the ability to for some people. For some people, it's about exploring gender identity. For some people, it's about exploring your weaknesses. And I think that's what's so amazing about role playing games: getting the opportunity to talk about all of these things in such a comfortable way.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it's a great medium because it's the only medium where the audience is also taking on the role of author.
Yes, and like
that'll
adding stuff, you know,
that allows them to craft the story to their needs, right? And I think a lot of the times, you know, we tend to forget that the GM isn't supposed to be this overlord who has put everything inside rigid iron rules.
They're the editor,
right? They are the director, allowing the actors to improv on the set, right?
Yeah,
and then running with it. So
absolutely,
yeah.
Ellen, were there some more questions?
I think that's most of what we had this time.
Great questions, everybody. Foremost.
It's a fantastic group.
Great answers, Alan. I don't want to discount you. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that one question that I have for you, Alan, before we go on to the next section, which won't be very long, but what are you excited about? Right now coming up. I mean, Midnight City, obviously, your personal
excited.
Whether it's just something simple like a TV show that you're enjoying or something. What's really exciting in your world at the moment?
Running behind the times, the wife and I just started Mayor of Easttown last night.
Oh yeah,
and I only got the first episode done before I had to go stream, and I was super upset about it. I was like, I could cancel stream and keep watching. I am the final say if we play or not. But that felt bad, so I didn't do
that. I've definitely done that before. You're really enjoying something. You're like,
I don't know. I'm just excited all the time. I kind of live in a state of perpetual. Everything's awesome. Let's keep going. So
like a movie type style. No, that's great. I've heard wonderful things about Mayor of Easttown. I haven't seen it yet. I love Kate Winslet. So, but it's supposed to be really.
It's heavy, but it's so good.
Yeah.
So
heavy is good.
I'm excited for Loki. I need to get caught up, but I can't wait to get caught up on Loki.
Yeah, so. I'm enjoying it. It's a good show. What about you, Alan? Are you excited about anything? I want to involve you too. I feel bad now. What are you excited about, Alan?
Right now, we're getting ready to move.
Oh,
yeah. So we're running around and staging everything. My background is more clean this time because we had to get it ready for staging.
Yeah, mine too.
You're fine. You're fine. Mine has to pretend that I don't live here, but.
Awesome. So are you just moving across town, or are you doing like a big move?
We're moving about an hour away.
Okay.
We're ditching the suburbs now that we don't have to worry about where our commute is.
Sure. Yeah, we did that in October. We moved cross country. So.
Oh, very fun.
That was a decision that we made.
I'm not moving. I'm staying where I am in Canada. I like it here. So before we get into the dungeon real quick, I just want to make a quick announcement. If you are following us on Twitter, that's Sigil_EG, we have just tweeted out a little contest. If you can retweet our tweet, you'll have a chance to win a copy of Foundry, and we'll be announcing the winner on Monday night's actual play stream. So basically all you have to do right now is either follow us on Twitter, Sigil_EG, and retweet the pinned tweet to the top of our Twitter feed to enter to win a chance. And then again, drawing live Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So do that now if you want. It's exciting.
For those of you who aren't familiar, Foundry is a virtual tabletop platform that you can use to play tabletop games online. They have a really, really strong third-party development community for systems and all kinds of fancy modules, as well as a really, really solid core software.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic program. So Sigil_EG on Twitter. So I guess it's at Sigil_EG. Either way. And you'll see it there. Retweet. No, you can't enter, Alan. I see you looking right now. Someone wants a copy of Foundry. So we're about to enter the dungeon. Are you guys feeling like a simple little maybe pit puzzle, or do you want to do something more role play heavy? What are you guys feeling?
I'll defer to Ellen on this one.
Oh gosh. I don't know. I'm good with either. Either sounds.
Let's do
sounds
a
fun.
riddle because we're almost
Okay.
at 2 anyway. It'll be shorter this way.
Okay.
Here we go.
Now it's time for You Enter a Dungeon. Huh.
You walk down the stony steps into the dungeon. The air is thick and old. Cobwebs fill the small chamber that you are in. And as you step forward, the door shuts behind you. The floor shakes, and an echoey voice booms. It surrounds you from all corners, and yet you do not see a figure. It asks you, "What is the answer to this?" And he tells you a riddle. 4 men sat down to play. They played all night till break of day. They played for gold and not for fun, with separate scores for everyone. When they came to square accounts, they all had made quite fair amounts. Can you the paradox explain? If no one lost, how could all gain? Poisonous mist begins filling the
Oh,
dungeon.
good.
Well, we need some sort of pressure for the music.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I mean, the easy answer is one of them's a bard and kept adding illusionary gold coins to the pot.
There we go.
That is a very smart answer. This answer is simpler than that.
Okay.
Reviews.
See, look at that. Too smart again. Too smart.
But it's right. That would be an answer. Oh, and I should say this question was submitted by Carly McConnell. So thank you, Carly, for the suggestion. Great question. Yeah.
I'll say thank you if I get it right. Otherwise, I'll be very
Otherwise, like, how dare you?
Ooh.
Okay.
So
I mean, I'm picturing you two standing there. I'm wondering.
Right.
I don't know it.
Like, I have a similar, like, kind of a smart ass answer, which would be that there was a 5th unmentioned person who was completely wiped out. But like,
so I guess the questions are, you know, we can ask the voice like the parameters here. Are there only 4 players ever? Did new players join or leave the game midway through?
Yeah. So you ask the omnipresent voice that, and he just says, "No."
Okay. So same 4 people all night.
okay.
All right.
And I'll read it again without the silly voice because who knows? Maybe it's tough. 4 men sat down to play. They played all night till break of day. They played for gold and not for fun, with separate scores for everyone. When they came to square accounts, they all had made quite fair amounts. Can you, the paradox, explain? If no one lost, how could all gain? And if you'd like a hint, I could probably do a hint. Carly didn't say I could do a hint, but I feel like I could do a hint. This could be a tricky one. I don't know. It's always tough to gauge riddles, you know? It's like,
That's the thing. Like, once you see the answer, you're just like, well, duh. But like, when you're sitting there on the other end of it, it's just like,
I
I
will
don't
say
know.
it's not a joke riddle. I hate joke riddles. Where they're like, "Oh, you're in a room. Oh, I see the saw and I saw the hole and I put the hole in the wall and I walked through it." I hate that. Like, to me, I hate those kind of answers.
Okay.
Did I put the intense music to help?
I mean, you said they played for gold, right?
Correct.
How is there more gold than? Well, he said they won. That doesn't mean they won gold.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Would you like a hint?
Sure.
Focus on the word, this line. This will be the line that I'll say focus on. With separate scores for everyone.
I'm gonna make somebody come over there and take your keyboard away.
Yeah.
No, it's too good.
No more soundboard. Okay.
I mean,
And by the way, this is not a haha, gotcha.
Right.
This is whatever you guys get.
They were playing for gold, but they were keeping separate scores. Were they all just playing solitaire?
No, but you're thinking in the right. You're thinking the right way. What's another word for scores? Or what's another meaning, I should say?
Tally marks, I guess.
There's gonna be some weird Canadian colloquialism.
Yeah,
people are mad about it.
Oh, that's what we call toques, eh?
I gotta be honest. I'm going with my Bard answer. I feel like that's really just the winner.
You're so close. You're so close.
Score.
Okay.
Score can be a heist, like you score. It can be tracking a score.
Oh, there we go. That's it. They stole something. That was the play.
No, keep going. You're on score, and you had it. So similar.
Other things score means. Music. Oh, were they? Hang on. So
Good for gold. Okay, they're banned.
yeah,
It is the Bard answer.
Yeah.
There we go.
there it is.
They were an orchestra or a band. They were playing for gold all night with separate scores for everyone. Well done, guys.
There
You
we go.
succeeded in exiting the dungeon. Do you ever house rule? Do you do puzzles at all, or do you sort of just push past them? Or
Me?
yeah,
They have to be genre appropriate for me.
oh, for
like
sure.
I run Pendragon a lot. And so I actually have a book of medieval riddles and puzzles that, like, if you're
cool.
dealing with the Fae, they will use on you, or like Merlin.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I
But
need to borrow that books for next week.
I'll send you some riddles if you want.
Take a picture. Yeah, I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the book?
And so I'll use it for that, like, because it's genre appropriate to the sort of Arthurian mythos, right? The classic knight in the riddle is a thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But I did run a really mean trap once. It was one of my favorites I ever ran, and it was a riddle trap. It was the last time I ever ran it, because one of my players never came back, and I felt super bad. They went into a room. I think I saw this on the old Wizards of the Coast forums in like the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And the doors slam shut, and sand starts pouring in, and this timer starts counting down, and there's a big red button.
Mm.
And they're trying to figure out, they can't get out. You hit the button and it resets the timer, and the sand stops pouring, right?
Okay.
And so one guy would stand there and they'd hit the button, but the riddle is, if the timer runs out, the door's open, so they're just trapping themselves in the
Oh
room.
no. Okay.
That didn't go over well.
Here's the question: did you like stick with it, or when they were getting?
Oh, we did that for like 2 hours in real life. It was not my finest GM moment, and I would not do that again. I have learned my lesson. I was a younger GM.
Oh no. It's
we
a
all
great
learn them.
story though.
Yeah, I've been the same way. Where you stick to especially early age of GM. You get it in your head. You get a little cocky. I've been there where you're like, no, I'm going to stick with this. And
Players need to earn it.
Well, that's the thing, oh, you didn't write that down. Oh, then maybe you forget, which to me is such a stupid, there's, at the end of the day, you're all trying to have fun, and I'm saying this because I'm 100% guilty of doing literally the exact same thing, where players foobarred something too much. That might be a Canadianism. I don't know.
No.
Yeah. Well, there's a movie also called Foobar that's Canadian. That's why I was like, maybe that's something.
I live in North Dakota, which is basically honorary Canada. So
Yeah, I'm in Wisconsin, so
Oh, so we're all really
Yeah.
sort of, you have all the good stuff that Canadians have and the good stuff that Americans have because you get.
But yeah, I learned the hard way that riddles and puzzles do not play to my strength as a GM, and they are generally not fun for my players. And so
some people allow you to roll through a puzzle.
Yeah.
And this leads us to our pretty much final question is, do you have any house rules for your games? Do you have anything that you do as a standard no matter where you're playing?
Yes. So there are 3 house rules, and they're actually on a sign in my game room over there.
Wow.
And I hung above the game room. The first house rule is no Monty Python quotes.
Oh, that's a hard one.
I have banned people from game for that, and not invited them back. I take it very seriously because I run a lot of Pendragon, and it gets really old.
Oh, yeah, okay.
House rule number 2 is the Dread Peril rule, which I cribbed from John Wick.
Wick, we know John Wick.
Players, players don't die unless they are in dread peril, and I will tell them that this is a dread peril roll, and that means they can die.
Okay. I like
They can kind
that.
of do what they want, and sometimes I'll mess with them and be like, "This whole session is dread peril," and I have nothing bad planned. But
But then all of a sudden they're like going along, like poking every cobblestone with a stick, like.
Right. But so they know that unless I say something is dread peril, they're not going to die, and they can kind of just take their actions safely. But there's still consequences, but it won't be character death.
We have something similar. Only named NPCs can actually kill you. Otherwise, if they're not actually named, they can only capture you.
Yeah. And see, that's a really good house rule. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably sneak that into Midnight City. So thanks, Ellen. Appreciate that.
There you go.
And then the third house rule is no arguing with table rulings. We can look it up after. So
is that table rulings is in GM rulings, or how do you yeah, cool.
If the GM says this is the rule, we play it that way for the session, and if we have to check, we check later.
I like it.
That's a really nice rule, because I'm sure some GMs are no argument with the GM full stop.
Right.
But I like the addition of we'll look it up after, meaning like, yeah, we can talk about it, but let's not make it.
Well, and it works because of the dire peril rule. The players know even if the ruling goes against them, they're probably not going to die.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I would never make a ruling and then put the player at risk because of it. You know, like if I have to make a ruling and it might result in your death, I will call a pause and we'll look it up.
Yeah, that's fair.
But for the most part, I'll just like, this is the rule. We're going to roll with it, and then when we're done, you know, we can look it up and we can do it right going forward.
Yeah, we kind of do that too. There ends up being like weird little things that we actually, because we stream our game, we have a player who's just this encyclopedic knowledge of the rule set. And so after he watches the session, then he comes back and he's like, okay, here's this minor case and stuff like that. And it's actually really cool because we get to go see all of these little details, and he knows the third party content really well as well. So it's, it's fun to like get back and see that later, but it doesn't interrupt the session.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, and we've evoked that rule when we stream. You know, don't post comments correcting us on the rules. We'll fix it later. Like,
if you don't already have it open, then we're not checking it now.
Don't like people like commenting and being like, actually, you're playing this wrong.
They don't when we stream the games I write, because I think everybody's aware that I'll just be like, I'm the designer and I say this goes. So here we go.
You know more than me.
You know who I am?
Good house rules, though. Those are
I like those.
Yeah, I need to get a placard up as well. Although we don't play it around the table right now because cool. Although who knows? Maybe
we didn't. But then I bought a really nice custom game table, and so now I'm all in. I'm like, we're gonna play. You're coming over, and we're playing because the table costs enough that I'm playing on it.
There you go. Yeah.
You charge them $5 at the door, and basically you made your money back, and then some. You know.
Let's take a lot of games to get that money back.
Excellent. Well, I think that's it from us. Again, don't forget, we have a tweet out right now on our Twitter page. Make sure you retweet it, like it, and retweet it for your chance to enter to win a copy of Foundry, the virtual tabletop program that Ellen previously described and can describe after my little spiel is over. And we'll be announcing the winner on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern during the actual play game. If you are interested in how S5E plays, make sure you check that out. If you're interested in more Alan Barr stuff, or if you want to see his finale, Thursday, you said 9:30 Eastern?
Yep.
9:30 Eastern. You can check
yes, 9:30 Eastern.
Their time zone.
It's 8:30 my time, and I'm in Central Time. All right.
I got it. I knew. So check them out as well as you can follow Gallant Night Games at any of their socials or their website. Check out many of their products. And make sure you get the Midnight City setting book, which is part of the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is in the link of the and everybody cool is doing it. So if you want to be cool, make sure you back us on Kickstarter. Peer pressure.
I'm not doing it.
Not?
Well, I mean, I assume I'll get a copy for writing it, so I didn't pay for one.
How could you? That's okay. But that is it from us, unless we are missing anything else.
I think that was it. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thanks again, Alan.
Twitter. There's the Twitter link.
There's the Twitter link. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
I always hate links on this because it's not like people could do it.
Well, there you go. But at least it's a nice, easy one.
Yep.
Thank you, Alita. Again, thank you so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks with another Sigil Spotlight, and have a good one. Cheers, everybody.